You're listening to another episode of You Heard It Said with Jesse and Tim, a production of Jubilee Studios.
We should give that guy a name.
He does have a name.
Oh, what's his name?
Eric.
Are his initials AI?
Alex.
There we go.
Alex.
Alex.
Intrigued.
Alex Iverson.
Thank you.
Alan Iverson's
little
younger brother.
close to
Yeah.
Alan Iverson.
Yeah, you may know his
I
brother.
like it.
I do love like when there's this thing on Twitter, and I'm not going to call it by its actual name.
Yeah.
There's a thing on Twitter when a news article about artificial intelligence comes on, people like quote tweet it and go, "Oh wow, interesting that Allen Iverson would do this." Just for all the basketball heads, they're like, AI means Allen Iverson. That doesn't mean artificial intelligence.
Because for a long time, that was his nickname.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like going with Alex because it's like it's Alexa's brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
that
we go.
works too.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Sorry to everyone named Eric that got excited for a second. It's not named Eric. I was starting to giggle during that prelude
You got the
because
giggles.
because I just like smash started that. But then I realized I haven't read the show notes yet. I was like, oh wait, no, I gotta focus.
It's all good. It's all good.
You're going in blind. Lead us off, Tim.
Here we go. Well,
So
hey,
what are we talking about, guys?
Hey, welcome in. You are listening to You Heard It Said, a podcast meant to debunk some common misunderstandings of the Christian church, and help correct and set us back into what Scripture intended, at least as we understand it. Right? We try to do it right. Everyone hopefully tries to get it right. I actually don't believe that everyone tries to get it right. I think some people try to get their bank account right.
Yep, I believe that. Yeah.
And that's not okay.
That's a word.
Maybe
Tim.
we'll get into that.
That's
today.
a word.
Yeah. No, but if you've never heard us before, friendly reminder, we are a podcast for our local youth community.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we know that it's not just youths listening. If you're not one of our youth group students, welcome.
Hi.
If you're like, why you feel like you're talking to high schoolers the whole time, it's because that's our target audience.
Yeah.
Anyone's welcome to listen.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I told you, I had some other former students' parents text me this weekend and we're like, hey, we're on a road trip. What's the name of your podcast again?
Oh, nice.
that's
nice.
I was like,
nice.
dude, I'm honored, but also fair warning.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Gets a little silly in there.
Yeah. We goofy boys. Okay. We're goofy
little
boys.
silly.
No, but we are, we only have one or two after today.
Yeah.
in
One more
Reform
in our
101.
proper, Reformed 101 series proper.
Maybe we'll end it with like a question and answer, just like
Sure.
the Bible Project.
Yeah, just copy the pros.
Little
I mean,
rapid fire action, like
yeah,
little this, little that.
I'm pro.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
a fan
hey,
of
the
that.
student has this question. You get 3 minutes.
Live
Like
pod.
an actual
answer.
timer.
Yeah. Like
with it. Yeah,
legit.
I like that.
Yeah. And I'll play like a big loud noise like, and time's up. Sorry, you don't understand eschatology yet, but we're out of time.
The timer is the master here.
Although maybe for that one, I should find like trumpet sounds.
Explain all 4 views of the millennium in 3 minutes.
There we go.
By the way, that is what we're talking about next.
All
That's
4
why it
views?
popped up in my mind. Yeah, very quickly,
Oh, okay.
and majoring on the Reformed view.
Right, yeah, because this is our Reform 101 series.
Yes.
It's true.
This isn't dispensationalism 101.
Yeah, it's also not like, hey, we're gonna give you a complete survey of every view out there because we just don't have time for that. And
Yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
We might.
But people will not hang for that either.
We've talked about doing like an episode per main view,
Yeah.
but not every view. You're right. Like,
Yeah. Like we could.
yeah.
It would Yeah.
They might be shorts.
Man,
Can I offer my 2 cents on that?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it almost helps, it helps understand each view when you have them next to each other to compare and contrast.
I think so, too.
At least that's how I've learned. Because when you focus on one over the others, it kind of is like, well, maybe that one is the right one. And then you learn about the other and like, oh wait, never mind. No, maybe this is the right one. So you put them all next to each other in panels. I think it helps you see the strengths and weaknesses and different ways, different interpretations of various texts.
Yeah. And then you kind of get your feet wet, and then you can be like, okay, then I can maybe go dive in. Now that I know what fill in the blank post-millennialism kind of is, then I can go look up some videos on it and figure out more. But then kind of like you were saying, my goal with our next episode is to see how the 3 other views kind of are in common to some extent, and then the Reformed view is kind of distinct from them in a very key way, which
makes
we'll
it
get
cooler.
What a tease, by the way.
What a tease.
What a tease. Because that's not at all
this guy.
what we're talking about.
Get a load of this guy.
Podcast pro over here.
Hey, if you want to hear that, you got to listen to the entire episode today to figure out where to find it. Spoiler alert, it's just on Spotify. Or Apple.
How 4 verses in the Bible about a millennium have caused 100 years of apocalyptic controversy.
Yeah, but great movies came out of it.
and some box office hits.
But today we are talking about a big word that I often, prior to becoming a church professional, getting a degree to go to church. That's really what we did.
Professional church guy.
Yeah.
Most expensive church membership.
I would often get this word confused with eschatology.
Oh, okay.
But we're not talking about that today.
Yeah. No.
We're talking about ecclesiology.
Yes, ecclesiology.
Where's my drum roll?
Welcome
we
to
don't use this often.
Formed 101.
Oh, I got rid of it.
Subsection, ecclesiology. So let's maybe define that word first, and then that'll kind of get us right into it. As people might notice, a lot of words that have to do with studying something end with ology, theology, biology. It's the study of bios, life. What are some other? Anyways. But I can think of some weird ones.
Wombology.
Wombology. Thank you.
The study of wombo.
It's first grade.
It's
first grade.
I was debating on
those
saying
who
it
know.
or not.
Hey, to those who have ears to hear, let them hear.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. If you know, you know.
Again, parents that are listening to this, I'm sorry. But our target is high school.
Yes. Okay.
Our real audience are people who grew up with early stage SpongeBob.
Yeah, that's true.
Man,
dude, can you get that on a streaming service?
Yeah,
right now?
it's on Amazon Prime.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't
know
let
what
my
I'm
kids
doing
watch that
afterwards.
show.
Yeah.
My kids, apparently we watched it on vacation this summer. I don't remember that. It's probably while I was trying to get some sleep, and I just let them watch and it's just cable TV.
Yeah.
And we saw it on. We have a Google Chrome. On our TV at home, Chromecast, sorry. Mm-hmm. And SpongeBob was on there. And August was like, SpongeBob, whoa! I was like, what?
How do you,
Who told you about this guy?
How do you know what this is?
But again, we're also not talking about SpongeBob. We're talking about...
Yeah,
so ology, so people might pick up the ology in there. So since, you brought up ecclesiology, eschatology, there's these theological words, get kind of confusing. And they're really not supposed to be. They're Greek. They're Greek terms, which is why they're so foreign to us. So, right, two parts: ology, study of. Today's topic is ecclesiology. Ecclesia is the Greek word for church, or more broadly, gathering. That's where that word kind of comes from. Called out ones. That's another way you can kind of think about this word. I feel like that was really kind of in the air when we were going through seminary. The churches, the called out ones, which is a very Reformed idea, where the people who are called out from the world.
And it's also fitting with where our church is right now in our sermon series and small group
Oh,
series
yeah.
is Leviticus,
Sure,
the major overarching
Yeah.
theme of holiness, being set apart, and then also how that applies to the church, the New Testament people of God, is that we are this, set apart, holy, not necessarily better than, like in a superior sense, but called apart, called out, called to be set apart. So all those things kind of wrapped up in one term.
Yeah.
Hey, but does this word have anything to do with the book of Ecclesiastes?
No.
That's
You
Why?
see, I understand the connection.
why.
Yeah.
I mean, like I get
Yeah.
why, but also that was the other thing. I was like, oh, it's kind of like the book of the Bible. No, you're right. It makes it confusing. You can't just add ology.
I don't know where. Do you know how like
That book got
because Ecclesiastes comes from how the Greek Old Testament like renamed the book. So in Hebrew it's
yeah.
Kohelet. It's like the teacher.
Yep.
The words of the teacher.
Oh.
Kohelet means teacher, something like
Okay.
that.
So the
Oh,
book is
I
called,
think I
like,
might get it.
Teachings.
This might be wrong. So
Well, I know Greek, so
Caveat.
I'll correct you.
So Kohelet, I think is like thank you. Thank you. I did notice you have a Greek interlinear Bible up there
I do.
and Hebrew.
I taught myself Greek.
So you can correct me on Greek and Hebrew with this. Kohelet, I think, is like the leader of a gathering or like a teacher. Kahal in Hebrew is to gather, and it's how that's the word that gets translated into Greek as ecclesia. So maybe
Okay.
Ecclesiastes. I don't know how that breaks down, but maybe there's a relationship between the two. I'm just thinking of that now. Doesn't
So-
matter.
so
People
it's
can ignore that.
it's a gathering for the sake of teaching.
Could
Yeah,
be.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to take it too far, but
You heard it
maybe
said.
maybe it's related to
This
the
word means
title of
this for that
Ecclesiastes.
reason.
But
Yeah.
I'd have to look into that.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's
okay.
besides the point,
Yeah.
I guess. And really, I don't know. I titled this in our doc, "Church Matters," which I like because it has double entendre. One, it's
Mhm.
like church matters, like stuff regarding church.
Yeah. Yep.
And then
Right,
on the
sure.
other level, it's like church matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's more what I want to emphasize in this episode. It's we should think about the way we do church,
Mhm.
because if we don't, just like worship and just like preaching, kind of call back to where we've been in our Reformed 101 series, and this is kind of a broader theme. If we don't think about how we're doing the things that we're doing, we're going to default to whatever is in the air in terms of culture. And I think it's just as true for worship as it is for how we do church.
yeah.
And then we can kind of, from there, I'm seeing about, okay, what are some ways that we can default to? And then how is the Reformed view different? Or what is the Reformed view trying to be more intentional about?
Sure.
When I would
If
even
that's good.
argue,
Yeah.
So your point was you don't want to just default to what's in the air.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we also even found when we did that episode about liturgy with AJ,
Uh-huh.
a lot of people from our own church were like, "Hey, I've grown up with this liturgy."
Mm-hmm.
AJ's been here for almost 10 years, right? So it's been comparable, right? He's
Yeah.
grown, he's changed things. But people were like, "Oh wow, I didn't even think about that," right? And so they're just setting autopilot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so maybe
good.
it's not normal, but it's important to know why we do things
Yeah.
because it helps you worship better.
Right.
Yeah.
It helps you be more intentional with your space.
Yeah.
It's a
So
good
then
point.
for someone
go
who's
for it.
grown up in the church, it's helpful to step back for a second and think,
Mhm.
why do we do what we do? But specifically for the conversation of ecclesiology, why are we structured the way that we are?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and what about the church as the scriptures call for it? Why does it matter that we have these certain offices, which we'll get
Yeah.
into in a while probably? And
Yeah.
just all of these things. Like it's helpful to step back and define things or think about the purpose for these things as God designs it.
And thank you for saying that, because that's exactly how this episode came about. And really, in part, this series, this was one of the questions. Why was coming from within our own tradition. Why did we do the things that we do? And if you're not from Reformed tradition, still asking this question,
Yep.
because there's going to be similarities and differences, as we'll get to. Church takes many different forms. But what is the function of church? I think those are two separate questions. Maybe we'll hit on those. Okay. What do you guys think? Does it make sense to kind of go over the different like popular models of
I
doing
think so.
church, and then we can kind of get to the reform
you
view?
heard it said format.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. Deal.
True to form.
Okay. Deal. True to form.
True reform.
I sketched out some. Love it. Love it. Just masters of wordplay.
Sorry, I just disconnected my mic for
Whoa. Yeah, I'd sketched out some different models, some different church models that I think we're prone to defaulting to.
I also muted myself.
Very
Yeah, I was gonna
professional
say I
over
didn't hear
here.
you for
Wow.
a second.
Yeah.
We're back, people.
Tim is
Hey.
self-sabotaging. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, apparently God didn't want me to say what I was trying to say, so I'm gonna leave
Silenced.
The divine mute.
Yeah, I sketched out a couple different models that we might be prone to defaulting to. And with each of these, it's not just to say, oh, this is bad. This is all bad. You shouldn't do this. There's always going to be elements of like truth that each model is getting right, but maybe taking something too far. So first one is kind of the church as a business, you know? There's you're in a building, you kind of have this product that you're offering people.
Yep.
You want to call this is call back to AJ's pod with the commodification
Sure.
of worship. So maybe that's already a no-no. Pastor as CEO.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of it's become kind of a trope. So the emphasis is going to be on right. Okay, how many people did we have last Sunday?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
get the metrics
What are
down.
the tithing
For
stats?
the business model,
Yeah.
businessification. I love making up new words that aren't
Yeah.
actually words. But there's the 3 B's that like business.
Better Business Bureau. Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Not sponsored. Not a sponsor.
Sorry.
No free shout outs.
Ironically, actually, they are. No.
There's the 3 B's that
Uh-huh.
I think business model churches look for. It's butts, budgets, and buildings.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's
Yeah.
literally butts. That's not
right.
even.
so butts
Butts and
is
seats.
attendance.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's interesting. We can ask the question for churches that are business minded. I mean, every church or every organization has objectives or targets that
Yep.
they're
Yeah.
after.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite leadership axioms that I've heard is like, what you celebrate is what you value.
Oh, that's good.
So for a business model church, you're always thinking about how many people were at X. So that applies to like youth group. Hey, how many kids did we have at a youth group thing? Sunday mornings, what was our attendance? I don't know, just whatever. We're always thinking about not we, because that's not us, but business model churches are always
hypothetical
thinking
we.
about
Yeah.
how many butts do we have in the seats,
Uh-huh.
budgets.
Yeah.
What does the money look like?
Mm-hmm.
And then buildings. That's a metric too. Are we expanding? Are we growing our footprint? Are we, thinking about that asset as a marker of success?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that last line is really important.
Yes.
And so if you're wondering where in all that we're about to talk about, I want you to think about, is this what my church looks like?
Yeah. Or there are elements
right,
of it.
when you're trying
Sure.
to figure out, because no one's going to advertise that's
Yeah.
their focus,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of
Yeah.
it's implicit.
And some of it may be unintentional too.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you're graduating from high school. You're in a new college town. You're looking for a
yeah.
new church.
yeah.
Is my pastor talking about numbers
I was gonna say,
all
if your
the
pastor
time?
gets up and starts by saying, "Wow, look at how full this room is," or "Last
Yeah.
weekend we had record attendance,"
Yeah.
bad start.
I'm thinking about it from a pastor's perspective. Sometimes that stuff comes up, quote unquote, behind the scenes, like talking with
Yeah.
elders and elder
Yeah.
meetings,
Mm-hmm.
things that aren't so upfront, and it happens there. But yeah, like what Tim is saying, if it bubbles above the surface where
Yeah.
it's like the leading edge of of a celebration,
Yes.
like whoa, record-setting attendance, like
Yeah. Or we just sent X number of kids to summer camp.
yeah,
Like,
right,
and so to your point too, right? Like you said, if this is what you prioritize, you should care about those things,
Mm-hmm.
right? You should make sure that you're using God's gifts well in the budget, right? Tonight
Certainly.
our church is having a budget meeting.
Yep.
It's one of the agenda items on the meeting, right?
Right.
So we care about it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not on the forefront of our
Yes.
ministry. We care about how many people are here because that's a representation of how many people are hearing the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great thing. We want
yeah.
people to hear the
Correct.
gospel, but we want them to hear the gospel. We don't want more and more people here because we just want a bigger sanctuary,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's about the priority. It's not about like, oh, well, my church doesn't take attendance. That means we're holy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No.
Yeah.
Like,
That's missing something too.
yeah.
Yep.
Another marker I think that would fit all this for a business model type church is like obsessing over the external measurables.
Yeah.
And what that's a businessy term, measurables, metrics.
Things that can be measured, seen.
So
Rulers.
what that looks like,
Yardsticks.
yardsticks even.
Tape measures.
What that looks like in churches is something called decisions. You know, like, hey, how many decisions for Christ
Okay.
did we have?
I was thinking like, are we gonna get a Keurig or an espresso?
No, like not day to day
The big
decisions,
decisions.
but like
Yes.
looking. A church may look back on their year and think, wow, we had 30 decisions for Christ,
Yeah.
and that being the external marker.
And only 20 were repeats from last year.
Sure, right. But when a church is
The
obsessing over
asterisks.
those measurables, I think that to me that would indicate a sort of businessy approach. Because say, I don't know, if you own a hardware store, you're thinking about how many hammers you sold, or you're thinking
How
about
many decisions for Christ happened in your store?
oh, man.
What a great ad.
yeah.
You come to our store, we'll save your soul.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like for a business, you have your measurables, your
Right.
metrics, your profits, your expenditures, like all of those things that you're thinking about in order to have a healthy business.
Yeah.
But then taking that line of thinking into a church is risky.
Well, it's hard because it sounds like a really good thing. Like that should be something we celebrate, right?
Absolutely.
30 people were saved.
Absolutely.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
But so the camp that I directed in Pennsylvania, my director did a really good job of shielding me from the unhealth of the board. I almost said God rest her soul, but she's alive. So Angie, if you're listening, thank you. But they were very critical of me because I didn't have as many baptisms as the last guy did.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was because I told the kids, you can't get rebaptized.
Yep.
And
That's bad for the numbers, Tim.
yeah, right. Well, but it was. It
Yeah,
genuinely was.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not focused on baptisms here,
Yep.
but they wanted a measurable.
Yep.
Right. And it's hard because also you do want kids to get baptized, right? Like, and that's an incredible thing. I mean, we've come around, and I would argue, actually, no, don't get baptized at camp. Go to your home church if you
Yeah, right.
That's beside the point, right? But like, it comes out of a desire for good, but it puts a human scale on it. You're right. It commodifies people.
And it also, I think, misses like the true nature of spiritual growth. Like the true nature or the mission of the church is like a spiritual one, not simply a physical one.
Yeah.
So then also this business model type emphasis in the church misses the other signs of life. And shout out Dan Wolkemuth, former president of Youth for Christ USA. He always talked about signs of life, like, and we can compare it to a pregnancy. In the 9 months leading up to the baby being born, there's a lot of stuff going on. Heart, brain, lungs, all of the systems within that little child are developing. Baby's not born yet.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of signs of life.
There's a lot of signs of life and steps that go into that. So then also thinking about the church, sure, if somebody does commit their life to Christ, God works in them. Praise God, we can celebrate that. But also, like, what if there's somebody that's plugged into the church that maybe is not a Christian yet, but they gave up, they're working on giving up a certain sin, or you can tell that like they have an interest in reading their Bible all of a sudden. The Holy Spirit did that. Like, that's not to a business minded person, that's not necessarily a measurable,
Yeah.
but it's still
right.
complete. It's well worth
business
celebrating.
has no reason to care about your internal condition.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and this is where maybe I can introduce a good distinctive, which has been really helpful for me when thinking about like what even is the church in the first place. There's this distinction in theology between the invisible church and the visible church. Now we're not God. We don't know who is who, but there's sort of let's say, as Jesus talks about, like the field in which there's wheat, and then there's also weeds that are growing up.
Yeah.
God's the only one who's going to sort them out. He's the one who can, he's going to harvest, and he's going to sort the wheat and the weeds. But even in individual churches, there are some people who are not saved or not saved yet. And then there are people who, are faithful Christians, and we can't always tell the difference, even if it's a raised hand.
Yep.
That's always something churches wrestle with, like even with profession of faith or baptism, whatever it is. That's not always something we can quantify. As much as we might try, and as much as it might be helpful to try to get a feel for like, hey, how many, and that's maybe where we talk more about like, oh, here's how many active church members that we have. That's where membership becomes a really practical thing.
Sure.
There's so much we could say on this. I think this might be the most dangerous out of the models that I'm thinking of, especially when we think more about how money factors into all this, because converts and new, butts and seats, so to speak, they're not just worshipers. They're
just new butts.
they're just new butts. They're also money funneling into the church, and then what does that do to leadership?
Right.
When
silliness. I told you at the beginning.
I'm just curious to know if you get like a butt lift, does that count as a new butt in the seat?
I don't know if I want to respond to that.
What's that philosophical thing? The ship.
Gosh.
You're talking about
I want to say Prometheus' ship, but that's not it.
I thought you were talking about the one that sank in Michigan 150 years ago.
Paradox.
The wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. You're going to make me tear
Oh,
up on this podcast,
yes.
Tim.
Don't get me started on the Edmund Fitzgerald. Do you want to see me cry?
Those 29 souls, man.
The ship of Theseus.
Ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know anything about Theseus.
Something that you were
or Fitzgerald for that matter.
As you were talking, Jesse, something came to my mind too.
Yeah.
It and we'll get into, I think in a while. I'm spoiler or maybe I'm teasing. I'm taking a turn of dropping a tease.
Love it.
We'll get into the biblical prescriptions for what elders ought to do and kind of what they are. But this business model of church, I think, drastically affects how people think of the leadership of the church, because every business has a board of directors.
Yep, there it is.
Every business has shareholders or investors, owners,
whatever
term you want to apply for the leadership of a business. Even pastor as CEO, that comes into. Yeah. But then, just the way that the business model affects how people think about church leadership and what they do. Yeah. Is immense.
Well, that's you hit on it though. Like, I should have more say, because in a business I have more say because I have more of a stake. I have given more money to this cause, and it's easy for that to creep into the church. That's all I'll say.
Well, yeah, I went to a church. Someone asked me not too long ago how many churches I've been to, because I feel like I've said I went to this one church and I described a different church.
You're like really Paul, dude. You're just like out all these different churches. Or you're just lost. I'm just kidding.
He's a vagabond.
Either Paul or lost, somewhere in between.
So I went to this church that this family, and I don't know them, or I don't even know their name, so I won't accidentally say their name. They literally saw it as, hey, we're big donors here. You better turn the music down when I tell you that it's being too loud.
Yep.
And said those words, not inferred. Yeah. Said those things, and the tech team caved because they were right. They paid for their sound system. Yeah. And so
They can bully people into
and like that's not healthy.
mammon is a powerful force.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
You say mammon?
Mammon. We talked about mammon not that long ago in
Yeah,
youth
I remember
group,
that
so
word.
I wouldn't.
Doesn't
Come on,
mean
man. You're
money.
even listening. I'm just kidding.
Wasn't it last week?
No,
it was
it
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Actually, it might have been. Well, I guess we talked about it with both
Hey, wait.
groups. You're at Corn Maze.
Define mammon.
Yeah, mammon is the
For those who weren't
personification
at.
of wealth, of material possessions, which Jesus puts on opposition to God. You can give your devotion and attention to either God or mammon,
Oh, okay.
Aramaic word for
Yeah.
that which you put your trust in.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe let's move to the next model briefly.
Yeah.
And tell me if this is accurate or not. I kind of called this the political model, and I don't mean that in terms of like party politics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that more as like, so I'll say something first. Dave Beelan, one of my first pastor, the pastor who baptized me,
Not a sponsor.
not everybody's not a sponsor. You like name a person, not a
But you
sponsor.
could be. I'm just saying.
My name's Jesse, not a sponsor. But Dave helped me like kind of deconstruct the word politics. Politics is not a bad word. It's literally like how we polis is the Greek word for city. City is just a gathering of people, and how do you live together in a gathering of people?
And that's
And
what
church politics
supposed
is
to
a
do.
thing. It's not a bad term. It's just like, how do we do it? It's not good or bad in of itself. But like, so then the political model, I'm thinking more of in the broad sense, the church as a sort of like a group that is advocating for societal change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the church is sort of one group, one team among many who is trying to state it positively, like make the nation or make the world a better place. So, how do we play?
Yeah.
How do we do that in the social arena? So that's one model. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to tell me if that's true or not.
Yeah. I mean, maybe threads of the term the social gospel would
thank
apply
you.
here, where
That's-
like the social gospel is an understanding of the gospel that Jesus simply came for social change.
Yeah.
So therefore the church's main mission is social change.
Yeah.
So of course the gospel has transformative power in the world, and the church should be engaging in the mission of renewing all things. However, people have a goal, have a view that the church's primary mission and the structure of the church ought to be as a political force.
Yeah.
I know Jesse, you very carefully unhitched.
Yeah.
You added nuance to the term. I want to eliminate nuance first.
Sweet. I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Real quick, I'd like to undo your careful explanation.
Perfect.
But when we're like looking over the show notes and thinking about political stuff, I kind of thought of though how a lot of people, maybe it's not that dissimilar from what you're saying, but a lot of people think the church ought to be like a culture war agent.
Yeah, totally.
So like there's a culture war in our country between red team and blue team. And this culture war,
Giants versus the Commanders. Yep.
yeah, the donkey versus the elephant, and people want to weaponize the church, to be co-opted to fit both. Where the church is the entity that supports the Democrats, or the church is the entity that exists to support the Republicans and its mission and value. And then therefore you have pastors and church leaders who are political voices who speak in support of or in opposition to various ideas, and turning the church into a political agent.
Yeah, good. I think that supports kind of what I'm trying to get at with politics is not a bad word.
Yeah.
How do we govern ourselves kind of locally, bottom up? But then what we have in terms of the problem, which you're putting your finger on, is it's easy to target one side or the other. And like you said, the progressives kind of have their own version of this, where it's like the church, the real mission of the church is to kind of like help the government or to join, to align with the government to spread kingdom values or something like that. We call that social justice on the left, but on the right, there's kind of its own version, which is, how do we make, in a different way, how do we make America a more Christian nation? Which is funny because they're actually very similar in how they see the church functioning, almost as like the handmaiden of political power, which is a demotion, not a promotion. I don't think.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just let that hang. People can kind of come to their own conclusions.
That's good enough.
Okay. The next one, I had to change the wording on this one. I called it the revival model. So this would see church, Sunday morning service or services, as basically whenever we're gathered together. So whenever we're being the church, gathered under one roof, it is to facilitate a never-ending chain of revivals. And this is explicitly the strategy, the model that evangelical churches in America have adopted. That's no longer a secret, but this has been very much a revelation for me. And we can talk about why it's both good and bad. Hopefully I'm portraying this as like, I don't know, in somewhat neutral terms. It can go either way, but like,
I mean, someone just heard that as great. Yeah, good.
Yeah, right. Revival sounds great. Yeah. There's been lots of talk about revival in America right now, and I don't have any problem with the term in and of itself, but maybe with the model itself, it sees the function of church is to almost like manufacture.
Yeah.
That's the closer you look at it, the less like spirit-led, quote.
Come to the revival scheduled this day.
When it's every step is very carefully thought.
Come to the pre-planned move of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
The Holy Spirit's going to be in town December 10 at 5 p.m.
Yeah. And
sorry for mocking.
It's but this is a very attractive model, and like, I totally get it. When you go to a sort of a revival evangelical model church, like you're getting pulled in. Yeah. That's the whole point. Yeah. Is you're getting drawn in through the worship. It can be very emotional.
We were just texting with someone about that, about the
role of emotions,
of emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
And for them, we were speaking specifically about Christian concerts, which I would argue Christian concerts are very
it adopts this model,
revival model.
Christian concert model is the mobile revival movement.
Yeah, which I think
is the same thing.
I think that's really ironic because how many non-Christians are buying tickets to go to a Christian concert?
Yeah, but that's almost part of the point. Is like it views the everyday Christ follower as somebody who needs perpetual revivals over and over again to almost like hang on to the faith.
I was listening to a Tim Keller sermon yesterday.
Great guy.
The late great Tim Keller. Sermon was on integrity, and he was talking about how hype is deception.
Yes, it is.
Because when you hype something up, you are like blowing a lot of oxygen on it to try to fan it up, and it got me thinking about the ongoing revival worship is often very hype with lights and smoke and loud music and energy and all sorts of things, and it's like a human attempt to artificially infuse worship with something that would really like get the juices flowing. And trying to use that as like this is going to bring revival is our attempt to really gas this up.
You want me to throw in something kind of sarcastic and that illustrates the point? It's from Babylon Bee. Tim, you're supposed to say not a sponsor. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Sorry. They just put out an article. Oh no, this was a while ago, but they reposted it. The title is, pastor spontaneously chokes up at the same point in all 5 services.
Yeah, I mean, that's real.
It's putting its finger on something of like, that's
Yeah.
And that's maybe where it goes wrong.
Which I think is I've appreciated because again I sat under a pastor who would do that. It was he would memorize his script, and I picked that word intentionally. Yep. And he would choke up every time. And if you go to our church, we have multiple services too. Mm-hmm. And I haven't heard you cry yet, so I'll only speak to Pastor Joel or of Pastor Joel. Every once in a while, he gets choked up. Usually, it's just first service though, because by second service, he's said it. And so now it's not like something, you know how when you're telling a story, a sad story over and over again, you cry less. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Typically. Yeah. And so it's like second service, it's the same story, but he's already said it once today out loud. And so it's not as teary. And it's like, this is not a rehearsed, manufactured emotion.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean he's not sad, but he didn't practice.
Which it's interesting thinking about that. When you worship in a very hype environment all the time, it taints, I think, the more mundane or normal worship experiences. So you're listening to a sermon where the pastor doesn't cry. Yeah. Or you're at a worship service when the worship leader is not jumping around. Mm-hmm. And it makes you think, well, maybe the other, this is
the bar
boring.
Keeps getting set higher and higher.
Yeah, we're pushing the bar into the stratosphere so that normal worship experiences seem boring when actually the Holy Spirit uses what some might deem as boring all the time. Yeah. And if we're just continually pushing the line or pushing the boundaries of what stimulates or what's exciting or what would promote revival. Yeah.
And you and I, Austin, were just talking about this offline, off air, whatever. But we were talking about how that's how you create a community that is completely burnt out. Like you can just burn out entire church that way by when they keep coming back and like, man, I'm just not feeling it the same way I did before. Yeah, I haven't risen to this next level of spiritual, emotional energy. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, what does that say about my faith and my trust in God? And then
and that's the emotional damage that can cause. Then is it makes it feel like a lack of faith, right? Oh, like this song didn't make me cry like it did last time. I must not actually be close to God anymore. Yes, something must be off. I need to do X, Y, and Z to get back to where I was. It's like, hold on, you did nothing to earn this faith, to build this faith. And maybe last time was just the first time you heard the song. Okay. Or maybe you came in already crying and the song just continued it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think, on the other side too, like again, having come from that kind of church in high school, I definitely saw it as, there were lights. We didn't often have fog machines. They were dabbling in fog machines as I was ending my tenure there. But it was drawn up as, and again, so if you're at a church like this, if you want to justify it, you can, right? It was seen as a way for the arts to worship God. Mm-hmm. Right. It's a way to give people who maybe they can't sing or play an instrument, but they're really good at creating a light art show for you. And so it's a way for them to worship God through their gifts and their talents. You're right. Those people should be able to worship God with their gifts and talents, but maybe this isn't the right place for it. Yeah. Maybe certain gifts and talents aren't meant for the sanctuary, right? You're not going to have the accountant go up and balance your checkbook on stage.
I mean, congregational meeting tonight.
Boring.
Well, but that's different, right? Like
that proves your point.
Other areas
100%.
You can worship God. It doesn't have to be on the stage in service, right? You can serve God behind the scenes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't make it less noble.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Not everyone needs to be a part of leading a Sunday morning worship.
So that reminds me of maybe a quick touch on the last point here. But I would just summarize. So this revival church model would see pastor or the worship leader or both is becoming it's becoming a lot more popular where the pastor and worship leader are kind of combined into one. And not saying that's a bad thing at all, but where the role of the church is to facilitate this experience, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And the church itself, the people gathered in the building, are maybe seen less so as like, here's this unity of people. They're united around, let's say, the word or the sacraments, or so. Maybe baptism, closer. Maybe is closer to this, if anything. But more so, it's a gathered group of individual born again Christians. So more of an individualist look at. Yeah, and we talked about this morning in staff devos. But as you were saying, okay, who, what again? What is the church for? Is the church just like, can anybody just get up on stage and start talking about whatever they're most passionate about?
Yeah.
This is a tendency. Again, not limited to any specific denomination, but. A lot of people have passions about very important things. Some important, some not. And it's easy to turn the church into a community center. So church as communal center where we talk about the issues that are important to us. And it's easy to mark this. Curious at how much you've run into this, but whether in yourselves or other people you talk to, I think the marker of this is the sentence, well, the church should be doing blank. And how you fill in that blank will kind of tell you whether or not you might fit in this model or how you view the purpose of the church.
Yeah.
So
give me an example.
One example, this was kind of in the youth ministry department. So kind of maybe alongside mission of the church. There was this guy when Brooke was youth pastor at a church in Hudsonville, and he came up to her and was like, "Hey, the youth group needs to know more about naval." I'm trying to think of the words. The sort of like
Fitzgerald.
Naval Air Force, basically, because you have the Air Force and then like you have the Navy. Navy has a bigger Air Force than the Air Force, by the way.
Kids these days don't know enough about the naval Air
he
Force.
was really passionate about like learning how the Naval Air Force works.
I think
and then
he meant to go to the local school.
exactly.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Exactly. And it's the most obscure version I can think of. He was also like, hey, people need to learn more about the military. That was partially his
Jesse,
his pet project.
Be honest.
Yeah.
Was this you?
Nah, man, I'm not a plane guy.
Oh,
they won't let me in a plane. I'm too colorblind. It would be me. It'd be like
In the year of our Lord 2025.
People need
That's crazy.
youth these days. They need to learn more about special operations.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's I've experienced that in a couple different ways.
Okay.
Like when you view the church as a community center, you're thinking for yourself or for someone that you care about. What social hole do I have in my life, or what deficiency do I feel socially, and how can the church do that? And like a lot of times that comes out when people think the church needs to start a young adult ministry, or the church needs to start a singles ministry. And that can come from someone who is single themselves, and they think,
Or whose child is.
And you think, oh, if only the church had blank, then that would solve an issue. And you know what? Churches have ministries. I mean, our church has a handful of really great ministries, more than a handful. But like you think about the church as just something that puts on social programs.
Yeah.
In order to fill a need.
Yeah. So when I first read this one on the doc as we were doing the intro, just this morning, my first inkling, my first understanding rather of this. So correct me if I'm mixing models here. I was thinking like social gathering. Like this place is maybe we'll hear about
sure.
the Bible
Yeah.
on Sunday,
Yeah.
but really I'm here about the community. I'm
Sure.
here to itch my communal needs.
Yeah.
I
Get
want
some friends.
maybe share a meal after
Yep.
church.
I've heard that in abundance too. I think that would play in this category certainly. Like there's even a guy that I knew a while ago. He's like, I've been a Christian for a long time. I've heard tons of sermons. I don't really need sermons anymore. I don't really need work. I'm just here.
Graduated from that.
Yeah, essentially saying I've graduated from worshiping and I've graduated from studying the Bible. I'm just here to build connections and to be with my friends.
And he's
Wait,
laughing.
why are we going to church?
He's laughing because that's bad.
We went to we went to school to study like Bible. Why do we? Wait, we don't need to go to church. What's going on?
Yeah, we're
What are
professional
we doing?
churchgoers. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Now we tell other people how to do. How to be
yeah.
good Christians.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we
we've
don't
already
need it
made
ourselves.
Yeah.
sarcasm. Yeah, that's in part right. Church as I hear this a lot from like secular people. Like, oh, I see the appeal to going to church.
Yeah.
Like, we need community, and
Yeah.
that's like one
Well,
option you could have.
Which is why atheists have gathered as quote unquote churches. Like there
Yeah.
are such things as atheist churches, and it's just it's
They're
just like
sad experiments, but that's their. Yeah, we need that button.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have that button in there.
That'd be great.
What are the ones that have on this page?
Yeah. Start trying them all out. Oh, yeah, yes.
Oh, it's just on.
I've been waiting so long for
That's
that. I wasn't
awesome.
expecting.
Do you have the
come up there.
Roblox?
Oof.
I don't know.
The Roblox.
I don't
Oof.
think I
We
do.
need that.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Man. There are many other examples I'm probably not thinking of, but yeah, they're easy to spot. Like pastors hear it all the time. Like between you and
Yeah.
Joel, you guys could probably create a list of like, well, the church should be doing blank.
Mhm.
And sometimes, to give the benefit of the doubt, sometimes you have a local church community which like really specializes in a certain corner.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like, okay, we're all really passionate. Like we see this need in our community,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the way our church can help is by we're going to set up this homeless shelter. Like this is what we're really passionate about, and we're gonna volunteer there. Like nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying, right. This is kind of on a sliding scale, but the problem is, okay, is that the mission of the church?
Correct.
What is the
Yes,
mission of the
yeah.
church?
Yeah.
And
Again, like
it's-
we started, like butts aren't bad, but if if that's your focus,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Like
serving a meal after church service, because you want to help build community isn't bad.
Yeah.
But if that's what your mission, right.
Mhm.
It can't be your mission.
maybe let's answer that. Let's try and answer that, I should say, and then we can maybe get into how the Reformed model seeks to do it.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
sure.
Okay.
Send it.
How would you guys answer that question then? Like, what is the mission of the church? And can I read a quote first to kind of help
Is
the
it gonna
transition?
answer the
dude,
question for
it's
us?
your podcast, bro.
It's not my podcast.
It's not mine.
Our podcast. We're communists here. Our podcast.
Not a sponsor.
Karl Marx, not a sponsor.
let it be known.
I really like this quote. This is from Aubrey Melfers. This is from a class that I took on models of ministry. Sounds thrilling, doesn't it? But it's all about stuff like
Seminary
this.
sounds
Stuff like
so
this.
fun.
But I really like this book because it's about this conversation, really. It was all about this conversation, like, oh, why do we do the things that we do in church? And why do some churches differ? Anyways, he says, the church can flex in its forms, but not in its functions. So really, really quickly.
And it's alliteration, so you know it's good.
Yeah, that's how you know it's true.
Yeah.
But churches take all different shapes and sizes, and many churches look different across the board.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. Nobody here is trying to argue for like uniformity, because people aren't all the same. Yeah. And cultures and personalities, people differ on an individual basis. Because we're messy. So hey, form can vary. Function, in other words, like purpose, mission, that cannot be compromised on. So I think that's helpful to like.
Sure.
That was helpful for me in any of these models. where does it go wrong? Where does the form of, hey, we got a lot of business people creep into, like we got business leaders, then the church functions as a business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that makes sense for listeners. Okay, but let's answer that question though. What is the function of the church according to you guys?
You're the guest.
Well, it's not according to me. I'm going to give an answer according to Jesus.
Nice. The ultimate.
I mean,
trump
I
card.
guess for me, I think about the mission of the church is disciple making.
Heyo.
And then I mean that's a big umbrella, disciple making.
Yeah.
But then what would fall under that category? You mean think about the Great Commission, and we did a whole podcast a while ago about discipleship, but the Great Commission includes teaching, includes baptizing, like the bringing in of new believers, teaching obedience. So it's like within the Great Commission, there's a call to teach obedience, to teach the way of Jesus, to come into conformity with him. So big category is disciple making, and then what would fall under that would be holy living, evangelizing, personal holiness, engaging in like ministry in a dark world, So
So not just like Dallas Willard would say, Jesus doesn't say go and make converts. Go get people to join our club.
Yeah.
So you kind of laid out the whole umbrella of discipleship.
Like there are threads in all of these models. We've talked about it a little bit already as we've come this far. There are threads of all of these that we can pull on that I think have some good in them. Like the community center model, I think it's great. It's necessary that the church has fellowship and togetherness.
Yeah, right.
That is a necessary thing. But that alone doesn't summarize the whole mission. Or within the political model, like thinking about social impact, the church should be a blessing to the community that they're in.
Yeah.
We should be a blessing to our corner of Visalia.
Yeah. This one could be a really tough pill to swallow. Like Jesus doesn't say, go make the world a better place. By making more disciples, you are in fact making the world a better place.
Right.
But that's not the like what follows what.
Yeah.
In other words.
And thinking about the business model, like the church, and we'll get into deacons stuff if we're going to get into offices, but like the church does receive gifts, donations. The church should be administering benevolence. The church should be, there should be butts in the church. Like those. So those things are a part of disciple making, the big banner of disciple making. So there are things about all these that are good and that we can pull on, but none of them on their own summarize the whole movement.
Yeah. Maybe to highlight one of those, and this can maybe creep into our discussions on the three offices of the church. One of those things, it's like, okay, the church should do fill in the blank. The church should care for the poor. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so does that mean the first thing that we do is go start some nonprofit organization to go care for the poor, the hypothetical poor somewhere in the world? Again, I'm not picking on like IJM or whatever, all these different like missional organizations that help the poor around the world.
Yeah.
According to John Calvin, the role of the church, the church is supposed to care for the poor, the widow, the fatherless, and that's what deacons do. Like that was the role of the diaconate. Yeah. Which just means the servants.
Mm-hmm. How would you then? I don't know how to word this question. I don't know what my question with it is. It's about parachurch organizations.
Yeah.
Sure. Right. Like, how do you make sure they don't try to become the church? Number one. Yeah. But how do you also support them? Right? Because there are legitimately good really helpful, God-fearing, Christ-centered, Christ mission focused, but it's not a church that's different.
Yeah.
Right. How
And we've all been a part of
Yeah.
parachurch ministry, so
Right,
ministry that comes alongside the church, whether that's camp, whether that's Youth for Christ, where Austin and I come from.
Yeah.
for the record, camp is also we want kids to youth to know Christ.
Well,
We're also for Christ.
We're just
to answer that question, like one of the Reformed distinctives, I guess, like what are the marks of the church? So then, which I think would be helpful in considering.
We did a
this
podcast
question.
on that one already, so try a new one.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna spend too long on it. But like the marks of the church, the teaching of the word, administering of the sacraments, like discipline, surprisingly for some is a mark of the church.
Yeah.
Where there's discipline and there's like accountability.
Yeah.
So for even in my time at Youth for Christ, we never administered the sacraments.
Right. You just can't.
Sure.
Yeah.
So like they're
Depending on your situation.
but and I think also there needs to be a healthy relationship between these two entities, the church and the parachurch. Like one of my favorite things about my time at Youth for Christ was the understanding, at least for me, that as a campus life director, we were front lines of working with kids who had never been to church before, who have zero to very negative experiences with Christianity, and then sharing the gospel with them, building relationships in the stated goal of being able to connect that person or pass them off to the church. Like that I think is a very beautiful thing where church can support parachurch, and parachurch exists to serve the church and the broader kingdom of God, not trying to usurp it or work in opposition to it, but to serve the other.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's exactly what the parachurch needs to remember, right? Like
It's not an end in and of itself.
yes,
Right.
right. It cannot say, "Oh, the church is lacking here. Let me pick that up." No, support the church to do that. Better.
Which unfortunately there can be some jadedness in the parachurch world of like the church is horrible at this. I guess we have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's I
think that's
forget
partially
you.
how they arose is like there were gaps, but then they become kind of their own islands.
Yeah. Well, and that was my quarrel for a long time. Oh goodness, I can't think of the name. It's not Youth for Christ.
Young Life.
Young Life.
Mm-hmm.
That was my quarrel with Young Life for a while when I was in high school, college, because at least in my area, it was definitely like meant to be a replacement for church connection.
Yeah.
Our Young Life club was a club, and it was more well attended than people's own youth groups or church.
Yeah, and that's not good.
Nope.
Like it's not bad to have another club. All right, like if a kid has a third connection point for Jesus throughout the week, great.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's taking away from the church, that's a different problem.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. So Austin, you hit the nail on the head. But the role of the church, I agree. Quote Jesus, the Matthew 28, Great Commission.
Cop out.
Yeah, what he said. Right, we're participating. If I could get a little bit more cosmic, right? God is seeking to restore all creation.
Yeah.
Some people want to jump directly to that, by the way. Like, oh yeah, I can go do that. Like, I'm a Christian now. I'm gonna go.
Trying to bring Christ's kingdom here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go bring about the kingdom on my own. I got that power now.
Shout out to our last episode.
And I want to point out
Sponsor.
how God begins to set the world right is by setting human beings right. And that by gathering those people together and uniting them to himself in Christ by the Holy Spirit, that is how God is beginning to set things right.
Mm-hmm.
And the role of the church is to participate with God in his mission to draw in the nations, those who are far off, to receive forgiveness and reconciliation, all these fruits of being united with Jesus. And I do think that is where, that's one of the reasons I'm attracted to the Reformed tradition, because it really emphasizes this, like, our purpose is to be united in Christ. And in the church is the body, the physical body of Jesus on earth right now.
Yeah.
And it is where his rule, his reign is made known.
Yep.
And that's important for how we got it to the function. Let's maybe get into the structure, and now we can talk a little bit more about elders and deacons. So,
to our one student who was asking for this part specifically,
yeah,
we're
here for you. We're here for you. It is important to, I think, say all that we said ahead of time to get to here.
Yeah,
because then.
Because this doesn't make sense if you don't have the right structure. Because let's get into it.
Sure,
and I'll explain that.
Yeah. And again, we're coming out of the Reformation against a church that saw itself as the authority, as the same as Christ's own authority.
Oof.
We would call this a
play the sound effect.
a magisterial authority. To get technical, this is helpful for me. I'm not just trying to drop fancy words, and that's just another way of saying whoa.
We get it.
Of saying like the papacy. So the Pope and bishops are the ones who are in charge. They are the ones who have the authority on earth. They have Christ's authority on earth.
They speak with his
which is true and only is half true.
Yeah.
But what the Reformers emphasize is, no, the church is subject to Christ. We're part of his body. We're given authority. We can talk about that authority, but he's the head.
Right.
We are beneath. We are ministers, not just beneath, but we are ministers of the word of Christ and of God's word. So we're not the ones who made it. We're not in charge of it. We don't have authority alongside it. We are servants of it. So this is a ministerial authority. It's been given to us.
A delegated authority.
Delegated, sure.
Maybe another way to express
that.
that.
Christ the head, we're the body. He is above us, but we're still united to him. And so, people might notice this is one of the things I found amongst within theology, probably gets talked about the least. Like church, we call this church governance, or if you want to get more technical, polity, which is you have people will recognize, right? The Catholic Church, well, they have bishops and priests.
Yeah.
This is called an episcopal structure. So that just comes from the word episkopos, where we get the word bishop, overseer. So you have bishops, then you have, well, the rest. You got a pope above the bishops, then you got cardinals, then you got bishops, then you got the lay people, and priests under the bishops too. Anyway, so this is like this hierarchy. It's a pyramid structure. Then you have maybe the opposite end, pyramid scheme.
Yeah, you heard my thoughts.
But then at the opposite end, you have the other end of the Reformation, the radical reformers, who gave birth to what we call congregationalism. So you can think of it as a democracy. So the church congregation decides, they kind of have the authority, the final say. Theology, who are we going to have lead us, so on and so forth. And then the Reformed model has aligned with what we call the Presbyterian model, and that comes from the Greek word presbyter or presbyteros, which is another word for elder.
I think you're just trying to make our English words sound funny and pretend that that's the origin.
It's not an English word, though.
Presbyterian
sounds very English.
And you just made it sound funny and said it was Greek.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope it's helpful for people who are like, I hear this word Presbyterian. What the heck does that mean? It sounds very foreign. It is foreign. It is not English. And that sees, and maybe you guys can chime in. It looks at the New Testament, says, okay, some people, Paul, he's talking with Timothy about, hey, I'm setting you up. Elect some presbyteroi, some elders.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about qualifications for episcopoi, so bishops or overseers. We might think of them as pastors, right?
Yeah.
So who are also at the same time, they can be elders. They can be they can be used interchangeably, except it's very difficult to create clean categories with all that we're given, which is like Paul's letters. So just to finalize on that point, and then we have this third category where there are deacons that are chosen, and you can read the beginning of the book of Acts to see how that came about.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I think it's interesting. Thinking about these offices, I think a lot of people would want to start with the office of pastor because they're the most public of them. You know, every time you go to church on Sunday, you see myself or Pastor Joel, and in other churches you go to, you see your pastor, and they're the most like public.
Those are the guys who are in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Then,
they're running the show, right?
And then you may glean about them that they are the head honchos.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, like biblically, Jesse was just talking about the genesis of the office of deacon is I think a very fascinating story. In the first chapters of Acts, chapters 2, chapter 4, talks about how the church they were holding all things in common, as the scriptures say. They were very generous. People were selling property, their fields, and giving the proceeds to help those in need. And in chapter 6 of Acts, there is an account that there was some neglect going on, that there were some widows that weren't getting cared for. And there was the need was presented, like, we need people who are in charge of the administering of mercy and like the stewardship of these resources to make sure that people's needs are met. And so then there are these deacons that are appointed. And so like the deacon from the very beginning is like the role is to care for the needs of the body and
to be a kind of Christ, because apparently this is just popping in my head. It's like how did this issue arise? It's like, well, apparently it's very difficult for one person to like be all that Christ is. Turns out we need a body and that can do different things, that they can be Christ in different facets to people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So ideally the deacons, deacons individually or the body of the deacons ought to be caring for the needs of the church, thinking about how to care for the community around us, how to maybe my favorite way of thinking about it is setting the example for generosity.
Yeah.
And I guess unfortunately, too often, I think the office of deacon gets pigeonholed as the bookkeepers,
those are money guys,
the treasurers.
Yeah, the treasurers, which that's certainly a part of the office is deacons receive offerings and look over budgets and make sure that we're up to,
for the purpose of being the administrators of like the mercy of the church,
to be
looking
good
out
stewards
for the poor.
To be good stewards of God's resources, for keeping the lights on and making sure that the mortgage is paid and all that, but also more specifically for the giving of these resources for the sake of the poor and the needy among us and in our community.
Yeah. I'm going to say something controversial. I'm going to say primarily within the body.
Sure.
Because it's easy for people that I think, I don't know,
yeah.
to just abstract that, like their job is to fix the problem of poverty. It's
sure.
like,
oh, sure.
It's like, nah. The church has always extended its generosity beyond its own doors.
Yeah.
But part of what, really makes the church so powerful is like, when you are now part of the church, you are part of this family now. You don't have a you don't have a husband, you don't have a father.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Like, you're one of us now.
Yep.
And we're going to treat you as family. We're going to share possessions. So thank you for that setup.
Yeah.
Of course.
Should we talk about elders and pastors?
Yeah,
how do they fit into the mix
next?
Yeah.
The elder term overseer, that's the term in, at least in the NIV translation of 1 Timothy 3 is talking about the overseer. And I think about we talked about this a while ago, but the misunderstanding or the misapplication of leadership in a business model is that in that misapplication, elders are like shareholders and they're, but elders in a church are primarily responsible for sound doctrine, sound teaching, and for the spiritual care of the church.
Yeah.
And then also there is some like day-to-day businessy things that they talk about, different
administrative.
Exactly. Administrative. That's the perfect word for that. But the administering of the sacraments, making sure that those are done in accordance with the scriptures, making sure that there's sound teaching and sound doctrine coming from the pulpit and in our various ministries. So it's not just making sure that we meet our quotas, right? I think that is a very tragic reduction of the role when it turns into those things.
Yeah, which I'm definitely hearing more responsibility than I think you typically assume of an elder, right? It's just kind of something that in a typical church, I think it's a rotating position, right? If you're a member of this church, you can become an elder, right? For whatever standards your church has.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some level of like, if your job is to hold the spiritual direction, you better be studying yourself.
100%.
You better be aware of what the standard is that you need to be meeting.
Which I think it's healthy when, like people in our church, when it comes time to nominate elders, there's a process that people within the church come together and think about who is fitting for this role.
Yeah.
And then what it often happens when people receive a nomination, they think to themselves, whoa, holy crap, like, am I qualified for that? Because it is a high calling.
Yeah.
To be responsible for knowing your Bible well enough to call out an error if it comes, or to come to your pastor and say, hey, maybe I think that maybe you got this interpretation wrong on this text. Can we go through that? Or to give somebody spiritual care when they're going through loss or a time of hardship. Like, it is. It's a tall order. And even the qualifications that Paul gives in 1 Timothy 3 and other places, I mean, what God expects of leaders in his church is
small.
It's not insignificant.
Yeah, and it's interesting, kind of along with what you were saying, that what Paul's looking for, he doesn't say like, all right, you're gonna get some elders together. They need to articulate, be able to articulate correctly the relationship between the two natures of Christ in the hypostatic union. And some like be a theologian, basically. Know all your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna be an elder? Okay. Memorize the entire New Testament. That's not what he goes to first. Like, and you brought it up, Austin. Part of their role is to watch the doctrine of the church. They should know. They should know what they're talking about and what the church believes. But the thing he highlights is character stuff for first and foremost. Because and what helped me this is like you can imagine sort of the church in its infancy. You might have Gentile converts whom they're not necessarily a new convert, but they might not even be the most learned person in the church. But the first thing Paul focuses on is like they got to have good character. They're married, faithful to their wife.
Yep.
Not drunk. Not given to drunkenness. Manage his family well. Have good relationships with other people. Not a recent convert. That's why I kind of added that little piece.
Sure.
And then he says similar things for deacons too. And I think we feel that, like, at the end of the day, what matters most is love, even over truth, even over knowledge. And because when character goes wrong, not saying these people have to be perfect, but major character flaws in the leadership of the church can cause severe damage to the body.
Yep.
Because they're shepherds. That's one of the words that gets used, and that's where we get our word for pastor.
Yep.
Because they're supposed to look out, protect.
Yep.
Or
So then, what's the difference then between an elder and an elder that's also a pastor?
Oh, yeah. I like how you asked that. It's good.
Yeah, this guy with the questions, man.
That's my job.
Yeah.
That's why they hired me.
I've heard the expression.
They being us.
I've heard the expression for a pastor who's also an elder in the assembly of other elders is that a pastor is a leader among equals. So not the pastor is not superior to the elders. In fact, the pastor is one of them, but amongst a group of equals.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor is a leader among equals, and the term. I actually don't know the origins of this term, but reflecting on the order of hierarchy that Christ is the head,
Mm-hmm.
but this term for a pastor is quite humbling. Is the under shepherd? I don't. Do you know the origin of that term?
I'm not super
you, Tim?
familiar with that.
I've not heard
No,
it
but
ever.
in speaking of the role of an elder or of a pastor, is we are under shepherds, like saying that Jesus is the great shepherd, as he says about himself. He is the shepherd who looks out for the sheep. And then the humbling and terrifying, and also, the honor that it is that comes with a lot of weight, is that pastors are under shepherds. We are shepherds of God's people under the shepherding of Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
which puts us in our place. We are not the big kahuna.
Mm-hmm.
We are shepherded by Jesus, as we are given the responsibility to provide for, and specifically spiritual nourishment. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that sound biblical teaching does for God's people, is it provides nourishment for them. A part of the role of a shepherd is to look out for harm, and I've been reflecting lately a lot about the presence in the New Testament of warnings against false teaching. I don't know, like I've been spending some time in Paul's letters in my Bible reading, and the amount of times that he tells the church, look out for false teachers, stay on guard against false doctrine, so that you don't get deceived by these vain teachings. All of these things. That's a part of the role of a pastor too, is to keep the bumpers up on the bowling alley, or to make sure that we don't wander into falsehood, or that falsehood doesn't infiltrate us.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is a weighty task, because pastor, they're not only an elder and a servant. They need to care about other people. They need to care for the lost, and they're not supposed to be a lover of money. There's all these things that you have to juggle as a pastor. At the same time, it's like, you got to defend against false doctrine. You almost have to you have to put on the theologian hat.
Yep.
And a lot of different roles to take on, and that are by no means easy.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite scriptures for this is the Ephesians 4:11 through 13.
Mm.
So look it up on your own if you want. But talking about pastors, but also apostles and other church leaders, is that one of the primary roles of the church leaders is to equip the saints for good works.
Yeah.
And I take that very seriously. I try very hard in my flawed ways to think about my role as a pastor, not to be the professional Christian,
Right.
but to be someone that helps equip other people, members of the church, to live out the life that God has called them to.
Mm-hmm.
And elsewhere in Ephesians, Paul talks about Ephesians 2, how the good works that God has planned out for us, that he has chosen us by his grace,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also laid out before us the good works that we will accomplish. And the role of a pastor is to help in whatever way would be helpful to help that person figure that out and to be ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well put. I want to say something that maybe you're probably too humble to do, but it's one of these themes. That's not a diss, by the way. I almost sounded backhanded. You know what I mean? Like,
Ow, dude, my
like,
cheek
I'm gonna
hurts.
do something. So let me explain.
That was
There's
good, but
this.
let me try better.
Let me explain. There's this theme that I'm also picking up on the New Testament, where Paul is sort of enjoining churches, like, respect your elders. And I don't mean the old people. I mean respect the pastors, elders, and deacons, the people who have been given us a specific authority. Not that it's just like this power, this top-down authority. If anything, right? I like this idea of the under shepherd, because the role of church leadership is they're to be like the hands and feet of Christ. High calling, is very difficult and looks very humbling. And what I've been wrestling with is like, Paul also says, like, because these people are in this role, like, as the congregation, we must respect them and treat them. We not blindly trust. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But there has to be a level of respect. Otherwise, we're getting a letter from Paul.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I look at the pastors around me. I'm like,
it might. Can you look up on one of your laptops,
Sure.
Hebrews 13? Because there's a text in there that I think it fits. And I'll filibuster until you find it, because this very idea, frankly, sends chills up my spine.
okay,
Understanding that as a pastor, I can't screw this up, right? Like there's a certain weight to that. And there's a text in chapter 13 that speaks to that you should respect your pastors because, and it's that because clause.
yeah, okay.
That punches me like right between the eyes.
I think it's verse 17. Correct me if stop me
Yeah.
if this isn't the right one.
That's what I saw.
Have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account.
Yes.
Do this so that their work will be a
Yes.
joy, not a burden, for that would be of no benefit to you.
Yeah. So there might be a temptation for pastors to look at the first half of that and go,
Yeah.
submit to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, God has given me this office and I have so much power and authority over you. But then you get to that second part and it says, why do you do that? Because they have to give an account for you.
Yeah.
So
They're responsible for you.
what I am someday going to have to give a report to Jesus, the head of the church, for how I have cared for his people.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, for any pastor worth their salt, like that should be very sobering. So, sure. The scriptures say very plainly to respect your pastors, but I like how Jesse said it's not blind. Like, we have to earn it. We have to prove ourselves worthy of that trust in how we teach and how we study and how we care for the church. So for the young adults and the adults watching, the pastors in your life, if they earn it, if they work hard, if they care well, then there's a respect that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but it sounds self-serving coming from me.
Well, that's exactly why I set it up clumsily as I did.
Yeah.
To be like, it'll sound better maybe if a lay leader says this instead of ordained the pastor sitting around the table. Because as somebody who's has an anti-authoritarian sentiment, I kind of like brushed up against that and was like, these passages, like, but like, what about all those times when authority is abused? Like, we shouldn't trust our leaders too much.
Yeah.
But and I'm reminded of the relationship between Jesus and Peter when he's washing the disciples' feet. And Peter wants to put Jesus in this like hierarchical thing of like, no, you shouldn't be washing my feet. I should be washing yours. And then Jesus' response is so interesting because it's like this authoritative, no, Peter, listen to me.
Yeah.
I have to wash your feet. So let me serve you. It's such a paradox. Like, let me be your servant. But you have to listen to what I'm saying in order to do that. Like, don't be rebellious. Let me serve you.
When I feel like it's not a common understanding because, I mean, in our culture, not just American culture, but leaders want to take power and use it for their own gain. But a true leader, in the way that Christ is showing us, is someone who uses their authority for the betterment of their
Yes.
congregation,
To serve.
right? And
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and so it's like he's not only is he saying like I need to do this because, right, he's fulfilling prophecy in the way that he's living his life, but also because this is what a leader is someone who takes care of his disciples, is someone who watches over his sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there seems to be an anti-authority sentiment that is very prevalent in our society because of all of the horrible examples of politicians, religious leaders, business people that like power is something to get and abuse for a selfish gain. And so people of authority, there's a general like looking down the nose at, I guess, or like I don't need that person of authority. I can do it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that is
individualistic of us.
Yeah, that is something that pastors brush up against because there is,
Especially in America.
yeah,
I'd
especially in
imagine.
America. In other parts of the world, there is an implicit and a tacit authority, and everyone kind of knows it and respects it. But in the West specifically, I think what Tim was saying about servant leadership is really important. Is good leaders in the church are servant leaders.
Right.
For the sake of other people, not for my own gain and my own recognition and my own virality on the internet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is how can I
that
serve?
one for sure.
And I think that's also the gift of a local church and like local church pastors. All of us around the table and everyone listening, we have access if we want it to the best preaching that's ever existed. Like through the wonders of the internet, we can listen to the best preachers on the planet.
Oh, I thought you were saying because we go to this church and you and Joel.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But like we can sit under the preaching of the best preachers on the planet,
Right.
Like that in an instant. But I think the gift of a local church is like you have real people in your life that really do care for you, and that's where servant leadership really comes out. Is when you're involved in a local church, where you can be known and where you can know and where you can be cared for, where you can be led and where you can be built up and sent out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's such a danger of our connection too is, and our misunderstanding. We talked about what it is to be a pastor before and just now, it's not just preaching.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, you can sit under amazing preaching, but Tim Keller, obviously the late Tim Keller isn't going to know you because of his status with Jesus. Right. But N.T. Wright is not going to know. He's never going to help you.
Yeah. Exactly.
In your daily life, aside from imparting his wisdom. Right.
That's what I like. Since you brought him up, he'll say on his podcast, he'll get like a pastoral question and be like, before I answer this, you should go talk to your pastor. I'm not your pastor.
Correct.
Yeah.
I want to
host
hear
this
more
podcast.
people. I need to hear
Yeah.
more people saying that online.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point. Stop listening to us.
And,
Go
and
talk
it's
to
tough
your
because
pastor.
a lot of what's out there is like they're clips from a
Right.
pastor talking to their church or congregation.
Yeah.
Or
you know, and to talk about the other offices too. You know, if you have material needs, the deacons in our church / the deacons in your church should be the ones that you go to.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe throwing out a GoFundMe page and hoping that strangers on the internet will support you. Maybe you go to your deacons first.
Yeah.
Or if you need spiritual care, talk to your elder. Like within our church, we have districts, which is just groupings of people that are assigned to a specific elder.
Kind of like the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh man, which district in our church would win in an all-out brawl? Maybe that's what we do next time.
District games.
But you know, if you need spiritual care, us pastors are here for you. But also the elder in your district is a man of God who loves you dearly, and that is a incredible gift of a local church. So outsourcing spiritual care to a person you've never met and you never will meet on the internet.
That doesn't know you and your personal situation
doesn't
at
work.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the church is embodied, and
doesn't-
any other definition of the church that isn't embodied is not the church.
It doesn't mean it's bad to listen to these
Correct.
pastors, these wise preachers.
Done plenty of it.
But you got to remember that that you're just learning from them. You're not getting pastoral care.
Yes.
Yeah.
This doesn't. You can't pretend that I listened to a sermon, so I don't need to go to church today.
Yes.
I think this, what you brought up, Austin, is just the virality problem of, the pastor. This happens all the time. Pastor starts, their church has a social media account. They start posting clips, and it's like, okay, get more traction and more traction, more traction.
That's a good idea.
Let's just keep giving this guy more and more authority, because he's the reason we're bringing so many people into this church. Let's get him, he's got this board, but let's put him a little bit more above and set him apart even more than he is. And then you run into the same problem of the papacy, which is what the Reformation was all about.
Yeah.
You have a personality cult.
Yeah.
And that's what's your church then is structured around, is one personality. And that's very fragile, because if there's a moral failing, if there's, something happens to him, he can't.
It's a house
his
of
job.
cards with one card on the bottom.
Exactly. Thank you. I was looking for a good analogy, and that's it right there.
Yeah.
On
That's
the bottom
not a good way to
is
build the
important.
house of cards.
No. Yeah. It turns out really unstable.
Yeah, I've tried.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, we can't downplay the role of the other office bearers,
Right.
elders, and deacons,
Yeah.
and holding each other accountable. So accountability, that's often one of the issues. It's like when there's a moral failing of a church leader, it's like, oh no, how did this happen? Well, nobody knew what was happening. There was no accountability. Fill in the blank.
Yeah. Well, and from the perspective of a pastor, if I'm honest, there are times where the structure of the church with pastors, elders, deacons, it's inefficient.
Totally.
And what I mean by that
Right,
is sometimes it is slow, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
If let's say like a benevolence case comes my way, and in my own wisdom, I think, wow, great fit, let's do it. Decision made, person helped, done.
Yeah.
But no, that's actually not good process.
Right.
That
Right.
there's a body of deacons that need to pray over this matter and to weigh it, discuss
matters.
it. Procedure matters. Or for, if I might have a great sermon series idea, and I'm like, we're going to do this topical series on X, and then I could run with it, do
On
it.
Twitter?
Yeah. We'll do a sermon series on social media, right? And
Church at the
and
movies.
actually, maybe the elders catch wind of it and they go, that's actually a really bad idea, and that slows me down. That stops me in my tracks. Like one way of processing that is thinking this system is broken.
Right.
I am encumbered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But actually, there's beauty in the accountability, and it's necessary because there are so many cases where a leader exceeds or they transcend the structure. There is no structure.
Yeah.
And they embezzle money from the church. They have a grievous moral failing, XYZ. And it gets really ugly. And so actually the structure is beautiful. The structure is intuitive.
It's a good defense for denominations too, because you extend that beyond the individual church to, okay, elders, pastors included, need other pastors and elders who they can meet with and then talk about and hold each other's, kind of keep each other on the same track theologically, or they talk about strategy, you share ideas. Like there's all sorts of positive things that come up, but it's slower.
Yeah.
It turns out you can't do every pet project that you want to, or say everything that you might otherwise want to, but isn't that probably for the best? Because we can probably name lots of examples where people kind of go on their own, whether it's a popular pastor or a whole church is complicit, and things go off the rails. You get into heresy land, which is a rough ride.
You never want to go to heresy
Don't
land.
go to heresy land.
I've not been there. So
The rides look fun, but they're bumpy.
It looks like a roller coster from the distance, but it's actually just.
I think Disney just opened up a new section of the park called Heresy Land. This is what pops in my head. It's because they start naming
They got
different
rid of
heretics
Marvel.
that have different roller coasters. Should we do a podcast on our favorite heretics?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know the famous ones in the way that you do.
I am a big fan of heretics.
If you want to bring all the heretics up, I would love to talk about them. That's a good time.
I think that'd be interesting.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. What are the big church heresies that created issue, division? Yeah, whatever.
Arianism, not the German kind.
Yeah, we've talked about him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts
There he
of
is.
Trinitarian heresies, all sorts of
Gnosticism.
heresies about the body and
Yeah.
and the natures of Christ, and I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe about
This guy named
Mary.
Pelagius.
yeah, there's heresies about
Pelagianism.
Mary.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they fixed that one.
Don't worry.
one of
Pelagianism
them.
isn't rampant across the American church. Oh man, we should talk
Did
about
you just
that.
say plagiarism?
Oh, the heresy of plagiarism.
Yeah.
Also, if your pastor plagiarizes sermons, don't go to that church.
Yeah.
Just go to the church of the
that's-
person who wrote the,
Yeah,
who wrote the
go
sermon.
to the original source.
Yep. On that note, yeah, I think that ties in what we were just talking about. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you should have other people who also know doctrine, who can be like, hey, remember when you said, oh man, guys, don't get me started. I won't rant.
We don't have enough time for
I know we don't have enough time because I want to bring it to a
Restraint.
close.
Yeah.
I'll just say the amount of times I hear pastors say something about a Greek or Hebrew word as somebody who happens to like nerding about that stuff.
Who brought
Nerd.
this guy?
Everybody saying nerd.
Oh, that should be a button.
But man, it is so common for people to be like, oh yeah, this Hebrew word means this. And I'm like flipping through my lexicon. I'm like, where, what did you read? Do you even? That's dangerous.
That's wild.
When you get used to saying something really confidently,
Yeah.
like as I'm saying stuff really confidently on a podcast, like it can train
Well,
you
I've been
to just say
fact-checking
everything
Yeah.
that pops into your head.
Right. Yeah.
You can just be like, yeah. And then people will be like, oh yeah.
Yeah. When you
Yeah,
know your
man.
church doesn't understand Greek or Hebrew,
Yeah.
it's real easy to just make it up.
Yep.
Welcome to Gnosticism. Anyways. So that was the last thing I wanted to hit on was like the sort of the problem of when everything revolves around the pastor and how unhealthy that is. One of the ways that church structure can go wrong if it's not thought about in a biblical way.
Yeah.
That's really what Reformed ecclesiology is all about. Like how do we do this intentionally in a biblical way instead of just importing whatever ideas that we have into the church?
Yep.
Any other thoughts as we close out?
Real simply on that point, reclaiming the priesthood of all believers
Thank you.
is an essential part of the Reformed
Good.
accent of the church is
Define that.
defend that?
Define
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the priesthood of all believers.
Scripture.
Like in the Old Testament, in the worshiping life of Israel, you had priests and the high priest that served as the go-between between God and man. And there was the priest, and then there was everyone else that wasn't a priest. And there's a sort
They're
of
also a priestly nation.
yeah.
If I'll just qualify that. But you're right. Right. There is like this specific office.
So then
Anyways.
an improper, like if we were to import that to the church and say the pastors are the priests and then everyone else,
yeah, they're the professional Christians.
yeah, like everyone else is just there. That is a improper understanding of that. And the gift of the priesthood of all believers is that every Christian is a representative of God. And every person through the mediating work of of Jesus, the work of the Holy Spirit in us, that we have a relationship with God, and we can come to Him, and He knows us and dwells within us. So just reclaiming that.
If your pastor is a believer in Jesus, he is a saint. If you are a believer in Jesus, you are also a saint. So like
Correct.
you're on the same level. You're
yeah.
in terms of your standing with God, but also like
But you won't get judged as harshly, so good job.
right. But then Right. This where I run out of language for, because like you have like a pastor is a minister. That's his job. But then also, even if your job isn't to work for a church, and even if you're not an elder or a deacon, like the expectation when you become a disciple of Jesus is that you are involved in the ministry, the building up of the body. That doesn't just, it's not just for the professionals to go handle. Like we all have different gifts, and that I think that's where gifts enters the conversation. Like,
yeah. Yep.
And some people's gift is being an elder or deacon or a pastor. Some people have the gift of mercy, of encouragement, whatever it may be. There's lots of them, but
And do they continue on through the beyond the?
Oh
age
yeah,
of-
we did have somebody ask about that.
Yeah.
Wait, how have we not talked about charismatic
I don't know,
gifts?
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about gifts, but we haven't talked about
Did we?
we haven't honed in on like just spiritual gifts in general. We haven't honed in on charismatic gifts,
Okay. Yeah.
speaking in tongues and
Right.
whatnot.
That'll be a good
So,
episode when we get to it,
Another teaser.
but not today.
Not
Because
today.
we throw out lots of teasers.
yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Austin, for joining us.
Yeah, that's
Thank
good.
you for having me.
Thank you, student who brought up that question that led to this
Shout out.
conversation.
Mhm.
Shout out. Blah, 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 blah. We can't say her name. She's not. Her parents didn't sign the waiver, and she is. I don't know how old she is, but she's not. She was old. She's young enough that she needed a waiver, and her parents said no. So
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope that you enjoyed. We hope that you're still with us. This is almost a record for how long we've gone, and I think it needed to.
Yeah, it was good.
Like-
I think it wasn't I don't know. My opinion. I don't think we drew it out
I had a good
too
time.
much. It was great.
Yeah, I had fun.
I think it was good.
Yeah. Congratulations if you made it this far. You use the promo code succulent to get a high five next time you see us.
Looks
just
at
saw it.
nearest
Yeah, yeah.
object in the
Table.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned for more episodes. We got 1.5 more episodes coming your way on Reform 101, and then we're gonna drop the new series. Maybe, probably not.
I don't have one in
Maybe.
mind, but
I don't know.
we'll see.
It was nice to do a series though. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try that again in the new year.
But yeah, if we get enough people that request something.
Yeah, and hopefully this is also our last episode in this studio.
Yeah,
Wow, what a
crazy.
crazy
What a time.
Yeah.
I'd like to submit a request for the third chair to not be slammed up against a TV.
Nope, that's how it goes.
Okay.
Sorry,
All right. Well,
it's in the bylaws.
We will make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That is how this
you're in the octagon now, baby.
Oh, you like being a guest, huh? You want to come back on this podcast?
Trying to sweat me out.
We'll begin the upgrade though. I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah,
Be a little bit more comfy.
We actually were talking about the mess of cords that you have to get through to get
Oh
back
yeah,
to
for
your
sure.
seat.
Yeah.
Jesse has to climb over a couch. To be fair,
That's true.
I'm the only one in this situation that has a nice seat.
Interesting.
You want to run the soundboard?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the Vine boom every second.
Ah.
Well, yeah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon and liking and subscribing. And we'll catch you next week. Thanks, Ma. I love you. Bye.
Love you, Mom.
This has been an episode of You Heard It Said, a podcast of Jubilee Studios. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with new episodes to come, and share this pod with your friends. Thanks for listening.